Now then, welcome back to Red Army TV. We're at the Dickens Inn in Middlesbrough, our home for the rest of the season, and we've taken matters internally this week. We've decided it's going to be a Red Army TV week, so you have to put up with it. Sorry, but get your comments in, social media, email, everything, all that sort of stuff. To my right, Phil Bullock from Red Army Social.
Hello.
Hello. And Marc Yafano normally sits in this chair, but mate, I'm sorry, super subs come in this week.
No problem. Good to be here.
Right, first week of the season under our belts. We were looking forward to it in a strange sort of way because we weren't sure quite what we were going to get. We've lost Gibbo, we've lost Traore, we've lost Bamford. A couple of names have come in, obviously. Hugill, Flint, McNair and the likes. Marc, 4 points from 6, opening 2 games of the season. We've got to be delighted, sitting top of the table, aren't we?
We're sat top of the table, it's early doors. 4 points sounds really good. Footballing wise, I just don't think we're there. You know, we're going to come on to Millwall quite shortly, which was, as we know, wasn't the best. And then I thought for like 25, maybe half an hour last night, the Boro played really well. But it's not all there for me at the minute. It's not there at all.
Phil, top of the table. Everything's rosy, isn't it?
I'd love to sit here and say, yeah, I think it is. I think, like Marc just said, not the best football against Millwall, half an hour last night against Sheffield United. However, I think the team itself, there's still a lot to be desired going forward, especially when things that happen and the transfer deadline is tomorrow.
It's rapidly approaching. For those watching on Made in Teesside, of course, this show was done on Wednesday. Transfer deadline is on Thursday afternoon. Marc, let's look at Millwall then. I was there. I went down with young Luke, skyscraper, because he's 6'4". It was the worst for me. It was the worst display I've seen by a Boro team for 80 minutes for the last 10 years. A lot of fans were unhappy. The guys got booed off roundly at half time. Yet we came back and in a space of 7 minutes pulled 2 goals back. Absolutely gutted Millwall, who I think will be a handy side this season. Are the gods shining on us this season? How should we take that?
I think I couldn't. By the way, I could not disagree with you anymore. It was a woeful performance for me, by far the worst I've seen as well. However, we threw the kitchen sink at them up for about the last 7 or 10 minutes, and it's always, you know, ifs, buts and maybes. You know, could we have started like that? I think the one thing that, you know, I'm a Tony Pulis convert. I've quite openly said on this programme many times, sat in this chair or that one, that I was a bit thinking, oh, this guy's a bit negative, is he the man to drag the club forward? He came in and instilled some discipline in the team last year, which didn't have it. So I think he is a manager who's going to instill discipline. And I think he will have took them over the coals at half-time. However,
they didn't respond then after half-time because we were just as bad for the majority of the second half.
Exactly, and Millwall dropped off as well. Let's not forget, Millwall had dropped off towards the end of the game. They're thinking this is done and dusted at 2-0. And it got us back in. The gods shined on us, they certainly were for that game.
Phil, can we afford at all to be relying on throwing the kitchen sink at somebody for the last 7 minutes of a game?
I guess it depends totally how you look at it. A team like Millwall, who, yes, are probably going to be up there again this season, probably not. I just find it interesting that there were choice words said at half-time, but it's still taken them half an hour of the second half for us to see any sort of change. There was obviously the substitutions went on, but other than that, you know, half an hour in at the second half after the first half was so diabolically bad. I'd have liked to have seen something a bit sooner because, you know, we probably could have gone on to win the game with the spirit of that last 7 minutes. So,
but Marc, let's look at it positively because that's where I'd like to be at the start of a season. I think everybody can agree it's a weaker squad now than we had last season. Yet we still go to Millwall, who were a handy side last year, let's not forget. And they looked a handy side this just based on the 90 minutes or the 97 minutes we saw down at the Den. Yet we still come away with a point?
Yeah, so and that's what you've got to, that's the positive you have to take away from that. Again, you know, we're going to come on to the game yesterday evening. Millwall were a much better set up and balanced side than that yesterday. But for me, Phil's hit the nail on the head, you know. I think we've had a torrid 8 days as a football club. Certainly outgoings. The rumour mill's been going. It was a foregone conclusion that Gibbo was going to go, and now followed by Traore. We were talking about it months ago. we've had a torrid time over the last, so I just think we wanted to hit the ground running, and I think the lack of people coming in has sort of put us a little bit down a little bit as a fan. The good thing about this show, we talk about it as it is and it's real. But the positive to take from the Millwall game is the fact that they ground it out, they found it from somewhere, and a point's better than nothing.
Well, let's get your views. Come on, give us it. Facebook Live, send us your message. We've got some coming in. Barry Kerrison's with us. Hi, up the Boro. Thank you. Stephen Brownless. Hi. Who else is here? Michelle Besford. Hiya, Dave. Hiya, Michelle. David Robinson. Hello. Everybody's helloing us today. Wayne Birchfield. West Ham striker. Dreadful signing. I think
Hugill.
It's Hugill. Jordan Hugill. We'll come on to Jordan Hugill shortly. What else we got here? Andrew McDonald. Good to see you back, Dave. Up the Boro. Thank you, mate. Barry Kerrison, it was on Sky, so we were watching. Absolutely, mate. Yeah, there's plenty of stuff we'll comment, do some Hugill comments as well, but get your thoughts in on Millwall. We are there, we want to hear from you. Just like we're going to hear from the Boro fans who we managed to catch with our camera just outside of the den. Here are the Boro fans' thoughts immediately after that 2-2 draw. What do you make of it then?
Well, it's amazing the season's back. That's typical Boro. Welcome back to the season. Didn't see it coming, but typical Boro, as I say. They get it out.
Yes!
Come on, Boro! Up the Boro!
Red Army!
What do you make of it?
Shocking, but cracking. What more can you say?
Thoughts?
Tavernier changed the game as soon as he came on.
Super tab.
Yeah.
Okay then, 75 minutes, what was going through your mind?
Are we getting that early train home? I'm so glad I never. So glad I never.
Reckon?
Brilliant kid. It was pretty epic, to be honest. I didn't expect I was like that. Like, but, you know
75 minutes, we were dead, weren't we?
Yeah, we were dead and buried, but we turned up again.
Brilliant.
Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pulis, they knock him. But he gets some drill, doesn't he? He done that pressing as well. He done that pressing.
Okay, they're your views outside of the den. I particularly like the lad who said, what was it he said? It was appalling but fantastic, all in the same sort of breath. But you get that sort of feeling. But I'll come back to the point, Phil, about we can't rely on throwing kitchen sinks. We've done that so many times in the past. You've seen us not perform well, but suddenly have a go and pull a goal back with 5 minutes to go and we leave it too late. Worked at Millwall, thank goodness, and let's hope it does when we have to rely on that for the rest of the season. But is it time for us to start taking games by the scruff of the neck and having a go at them? Or are we not good enough for that? Do we not have a strong enough squad?
Do you know what? Other than losing Traore, losing Gibson, Bamford arguably, the squad isn't massively dissimilar to what it was last season. We came out the hatchet last season, didn't we, against Leeds, and for a full 90 minutes it was fantastic. This season we need to see more of the same. I think Tony Pulis has had his 6 months in charge. He's now got a full season that he's working towards. There's players that he wants to bring in. I just think the players we've got are very good players, and I think the players that we've brought in recently are very good players. I just hope that they don't need this phantom gelling period that we seem to hear a lot of last season, the season before. I mean, Aidan Flint last night scored on his home debut, and that's something that I hope we can continue, and especially when Ayala's back. We've got two centre-backs there that can score goals and score a lot of goals between them.
Mark, interesting one comes here. It's Stuart Gawley says we need Tav and Chapman on. Now, we got something similar at Millwall. We got Tav on, and he played really well, made a big difference. Lewis Wing came on as well. Could this be the season to throw the young'uns in, or is it too important a season trying to get back in the Premier League?
Well, you see, this comes out of... I agree with that gentleman, by the way. I think the kids deserve a chance. Them two kids are good players, by the way. They are good players. The problem is at what stage do we judge that? Because if we're saying now, and it's very noticeable that the chairman, unlike last season, hasn't came out and made any bold or brash statements. However, if we're going to go straight back up as a club, can we trust young kids? Should we be spending a little bit of money with the experience to try and get us back up? Bearing in mind the teams what have come down, Dave. You know, the good teams what have come down. I know some of the results didn't go that way first game of the season, the Championship, but you know they're going to be in and around it at the end of the year, and they're the ones we've got to outclass. Simple as that.
Sheffield United, we saw a couple of kids come in. Let's talk Sheffield United. Millwall's done and dusted, 3-0 up at 25 minutes. But we did see Lewis Wing get a start, which was good. He tired. Thoughts on the youngsters? Should they be coming in?
Absolutely. I have to disagree a little bit with Mark there. I truly do believe that bringing these youngsters in, no other club around us has any idea how these kids are going to play. So they're like a secret weapon to us. Use them properly, don't use them, every game, give them a rest when they need it. But until they've had 7, 8, 9, 10 games, no other team around us is going to be able to look at them and say, right, we know their game, so this is how we counter that. They're not going to have the chance
And I
to
think
do
that was the key at Millwall. When they came on, no one had a clue who they were.
Well, we'll talk more about it after the break. But look, 3-0, up 25 minutes into it against Sheffield United. You can't really ask for a better start, and true Pulis start, right, style. Let's cut it, fellas, now. Let's protect the 3-0, and we got the points. We'll talk more after this break. Welcome back to Red Army. Just a couple of your messages here as we sink our teeth into Sheffield United. Ian Mogi is Braithwaite away now, then he played good last night. We'll chat on that shortly. Alistair Craig, nice to see Hugh Gill on the team, but we need more. Val, good game last night, impressed. Keep it up, Mr. Pulis. We're on the right track. Stu Gawley, 4-4-2 is the system to play. Michelle, that's a long one. I'll have a dig through that very shortly. Christopher James Thompson, different gravy, baby. 3-0 up the Boro with an F in there. Don't know what that means, mate. Mick McGee, give Pulis a chance, and I think it will lead us into the Premier League. To be fair, I think we do, and we all want to give Pulis a chance. I'm a Pulis fan, I like him. But let's have a look, see what the gaff had to say after the Sheffield United 3-0 performance. This is what he had to say in the press conference.
I don't think anybody can deny that we were right on it from the start, which is important. I think home games, you want to play with a tempo and a pace that gets everybody out of their seat, and I thought we did. And we played some good football. Second half was a little bit different, but I think it's this is first week of the season.
So that's the gaffer then in the press conference, basically happy with what went on. I think we're all happy with what went on at the Riverside on Tuesday night. Michelle Besford, after Millwall, I was expecting a nervy 1-1 draw last night with either a confident early goal, the lads scrapping around to hold on to the lead for the rest of the game, but it was far from, was it? Phil, thoughts on the performance? You were there. I was there. We were all there.
Do you know, it was a breath of fresh air, actually. I know last season I kept saying that we need to come out and we need to really go at these teams, and like we said earlier on, it's the second game of the season. It's to be expected to a point, but I really do think that our attacking prowess last night, even without a Dharma, we didn't miss a Dharma last night, I'm sorry, but we didn't.
I agree.
I thought Braithwaite was absolutely phenomenal. He tracked back so much, and Downing was brilliant. I think Lewis Wing, what a player he could go on to be for us. I just thought overall the performance was something that I'd rather see prolonged, just a bit longer in the game than 30 minutes. Attack for an hour if we can, sit back for 20 minutes if we need to. But so early on in the season, I would have much preferred to score 4, 5, 6 goals last night if we could have done. But I'm happy with the result.
Was it a case of the Boro were good or Sheffield United were awful?
I think it was a bit of both. Dave, to be fair, I couldn't agree more. I thought the Boro for the first half an hour, 35 minutes, looked a really... I mentioned, we were chatting just before we went there about Leeds. I thought Leeds looked a bit tasty the other night on the TV. And I thought we went out and had a really good goal in that game. And we looked really smart, But it was like, an old cliche, it was like a game of two halves. It was sort of attacking for the first half. And it was showing our defensive prowess, barring one small little mistake. Showing our defensive prowess in the second half.
They had 4 or 5 decent chances where a stronger team might have put them away.
I couldn't agree more. I think, the Sheffield United did look a little bit unbalanced, certainly in the first half. Looked unbalanced. They were ill-disciplined in the first half. Second half, they sort of turned it around and did get some chances. But again, a small mistake from Flint, which put him in again. Great save from Randolph, though, wasn't it?
But Sheffield United, not a bad team last season. You don't lose that over the course of a summer, do you? They will surely become a stronger team, better than we saw 24 hours ago.
Yeah, I think so.
So therefore, can we gauge the Boro as being a better team?
I think we are. I think somebody said to me last night that Boro just needed another week. Take Millwall out. We were a week behind, and I think. At the start of the season, I think a lot of teams are going to be saying, look, we're just a week behind, and I think that's the Sheffield United last night was probably the same. Give it next week, they'll probably go and batter someone 4-5-0 themselves. So
let's catch up with some social media thoughts. because you're getting your messages in here, and please keep them coming in. Facebook Live, you can tweet us, you can hashtag us, Red Army TV, do all that sort of stuff, and we'll get to them throughout. But also social media, and Matt's with us. Matt, thoughts on social media? What are you getting from the Boro fans?
Pretty much it's all about the move from Traore. It's made big news, and it's also been ruffled a few fans' feathers. So let's start off with one fan, Paul Edwards. He said, Adama Traore, 20 million fee, add-ons as negotiated by Boro's stellar transfer team. He says 10 million up front, although a higher offer was rejected. 2 million if Traore makes international debut. 2 million if Wolves win the Premier League. 4 million if Traore wins Strictly Come Dancing, and 2 million if Traore wins the Grand National. Matthew Nixon, you've said, a difficult week to be a fan, a shame to see homegrown talent in Gibson move on when he clearly would love to be with us in the Premier League, and also tough to see Adama go. Probably the most exciting place since Juninho. Let's hope we get some good replacements in. Our very own Joe Nicholson, he said, some interesting questions thrown up after last night's Boro result. Will Pulis stick with a back three? Can Assomba Longer and Braithwaite form a successful partnership? Will Lewis Wing play a key part this season? Plenty of positives, but still need to strengthen before the deadline. And finally, Guy Bailey has said, you'd think the Boro were selling Juninho again the way some were overreacting. I trust Pulis until he gives me a reason not to. You'll be happier if you do the same. So keep your social media comments coming in here at Red Army. Back to you, Dave.
Cheers, matey. Thanks for that. Keep your social media stuff coming in, and Matt will be across them. A couple of messages on Facebook Live. Barry Kerrison, if we go up, can we afford to stay up with the clubs paying millions of pounds that have changed hands this transfer window? Neil Dieball, hi guys, experience is going to be key this season. I only hope that this season is like the 86-87 season when we had a young squad. Also, talking about youngsters, Stu Gawley, the kids of 86 didn't need 15 or 20 minute introductions. They had to play. When they had to play, they were either good enough or you're not good enough. One disappointment for me, Phil, was 22,000 crowd. First game of the season. I know it was a Tuesday night. I know it was midweek. Surely, though, we should have had more than 22,000 at the Riverside.
Yeah, we should, and I think it's probably really important to note we were 40 off 23,000.
Okay, 23,000.
It's 1,000 less than the average last season. I think until fans, the way we ended last season, a lot of fans probably thought, I'm not sure what's going on here. Give it a few weeks, if results stay as they have been against Sheffield United, then I have no doubts that we're probably going to be knocking 28, 29,000. So I'm not scared by it.
Marc, would we have had more in the Riverside had there been big name signings, a lot of excitement, decent performances pre-season, not losing to the likes of Accrington, Stanley and Rochdale?
No, because I honestly think that the season started earlier than normal. We've had a massive summer with the World Cup, doing far better than we exceeded that we're going to do. People have delayed holidays because of that, and it was a Tuesday night game as well, David. And obviously people can press a little red button now and watch midweek games, which is also going to deteriorate, home gates. So no, I don't think it is, but I absolutely agree with Phil. I think if the Bullock can play like they did for the first half an hour, 35 minutes every week like that, that gate will rocket.
Absolutely.
Bit of business during the transfer window. Obviously, we've lost 3 key players. There's question marks over Braithwaite. Interestingly, after Sheffield United and listening to BBC T's interview with Tony Pulis, he was asked by the reporter, great performance by the lad tonight, how important can he be if he stays for the rest of the season? And Pulis came out and said, let's see what happens in the transfer window. Maybe that's what's created a few question marks. Do you think he's going to stay, Braithwaite?
Do you know what? I'd love it if he did stay. I think what was clear last night is that he's a cut above a lot of our own players in terms of his technical ability, his eye for the ball, his hunger, his desire to get on the ball. Not if he loses it, but if any of our players lose it. And I think it was clear last night that he was prepared and he was willing to work as part of a team, as part of a strong unit. And I just hope that he didn't do well enough at the World Cup so that nobody comes in last minute and says, yeah, actually, we're going to take a gamble on this guy. I really, really do hope he stays this season.
OK, well, let's get some more of your views. Immediately after the Sheffield United game, Marc was out with his camera, and these are your fan rants.
Didn't expect that. I don't think anybody was expecting that, but it's bloody brilliant, wasn't it?
Really doing good.
They're good.
Come on then, Boro!
I'll eat humble pie today. I've slagged some of the players off, I've slagged the manager off and anything else, but yeah, I think today, for some reason, I don't know why, but they played well as a team. The young kids Might be an influence, I don't know.
I thought that was cracking, and for all of those that were crying over Bamford, Patrick who 3-0.
Okay, there are your views after the game, and thanks to Marc for taking his camera out. News just coming to us, unconfirmed it's got to be said, but the Boro's put a bid in for George Saville and Jed Wallace from Millwall. So looks like that business is still going on, Marc. Expecting a busy 24 hours?
To be fair, I'm expecting there'll be a couple in, and I think there may be a couple out as well. Just going back to what you were talking with Phil about Braithwaite, I totally agree. I would love Tony Pulis to put his arm around Braithwaite like he did to Traore and try and sell him the club, because I think he's had the club knocked out of him by being loaned out, but from the, obviously bought under a previous manager. If he could fall back in love with the club again, the fans will fall in love with him, because he is a very, very good technical player.
Well, let's see him fall in love with the club. Do we need some big name signings?
I don't think we necessarily need big. I think it's experience, but it's not championship experience we need. It's Premier League experience that will give us the drive, the determination to really push on and get ourselves back up there.
We've run out of time, so we couldn't talk Birmingham. But Monk coming to town. Forget the scoreline. Reception. Think you'd get positive one or negative one?
A bit of both.
Okay. All right, fellas. Thank you. Back to normal as of next week. We'll catch you next week too.